Listen, when news like this shows up, always consider it an opportunity for you to capitalize on it from a standpoint of building and boosting and restoring your credit. Why? Because it's proof that a lot of times these big companies have done things or don't even want to let you know the things that happen behind the scene that could be infringing upon your rights or having your score less than ideal, which can lead to you getting things deleted and your score going up. Most people have about 100 points that they can utilize or benefit from just off of cleaning up errors on their report or just by understanding the breaches that happen behind the scene. What's going on in this is that Visa and Mastercard had to pay out a huge settlement of almost $200 million. Now, the details will let you know why I said what I said and how this is an opportunity. Only if you capitalize, and if you want to understand how to better your credit overall, build credit, clean up things, then you can join the private community and get access to the tool for pennies that shows you what you need to do in order to restore your credit. And if you want to make money in the credit industry, then it helps you do that as well. But let's talk about it. So this came from the article, the U.S. Sun, and basically it talks about card luck. Visa, MasterCard users get payouts $200 million card settlement. The credit card giants are not the only companies that have agreed to pay out. So it's multiple companies that have agreed to pay out. The settlement is related to a dispute that has spanned 10 years and is linked to fraud costs. So anytime you hear fraud, anytime you hear data breach, these are opportunities to capitalize on, because a lot of times fraudulent stuff does happen. A lot of times accounts are being created beyond your knowing, and then it shows up as a collection. You got to understand that a lot of times they are doing things unlawfully behind the scenes and accessing your data or sharing your data beyond your consent or beyond your knowing. And some of this information can be leveraged, especially knowing that they're not able to truly validate or prove certain things, or the fact that there are so many different errors or inaccuracies on your report. And a part of credit reporting is that they must have maximum possible accuracy. That means 100% accurate. That means if certain things are off down to the letter, to the number, that's inaccurate. And it's not 100% accurate. So you got to leverage this information to your advantage. Now, Visa is at the center of a settlement worth almost $200 million. But it says a group of retailers sued the credit card companies after they claimed they were saddled with costs for rejected purchases. The businesses claimed they were hit with the cost despite not being at fault. The lawsuit was first filed in 2016, and the settlement totaling $199.5 million was reached. Visa and MasterCard have not admitted any wrongdoings. Now, they're not admitting any wrongdoings, but they're like, hey, let me go ahead and just pay it out. I'm tired of bothering or fighting with it. But they haven't admitted anything. But if you know, you know. It says the chiefs at the credit card companies want to avoid any further expense and distraction, according to court documents. Visa bosses will pay $119.7 million as part of the terms of the settlement. Mastercard is coughing up around $79.8 million. The settlement package still needs to be approved by a judge. So it's still some things that it has to go through, but that does not change what I've said about how these are opportunities to capitalize on the fact that there are data breaches and fraud and payments that are going out and judgments being made based on things that are happening behind the scene with millions of people's information. So a timetable for potential payments has not been released. Visa and MasterCard are not the only companies that have agreed to pay out. Check this out. Now, this is just a screenshot of a data breach when it comes to Facebook. That was a whole nother data breach that I covered. But it says American Express and Discover have agreed on a settlement worth $32.2 million. Customers who use Visa or Mastercard credit cards on a day-to-day basis are unlikely to be affected as a result of this dispute. Visa and MasterCard are not the only companies that have been involved in cases that have led to settlement. So this is nothing new. And it talks about class action lawsuits offer groups of people or classes a way to band together in court. And how they usually come about, it says these suits are often brought by one or a few people who allege a company or other entity has wronged a large group of people. When a suit becomes a class action, it extends to all class members or people who may have similar complaints to those who filed the suit. So sometimes the people who initiate the suit benefit those who didn't file, but, are also a part of that ecosystem. Then it says companies often settle class actions, offering payment to class members who typically waive their right to pursue further legal action by accepting money. So when you accept the money, you waive your right to pursue further legal action because you're like, okay, they're giving me $198. Let me go ahead and accept this. However, if you don't accept the money and you feel you've been wrong, then you can apply even more pressure and get even more. So some people view it as an opportunity. Okay, they settled. I didn't accept the money. Let me go ahead and pursue whatever it is that I believe to be rightfully mine, which is more than what they were trying to give me. So that being said, that's just something to, consider when it comes to any settlement. That's your passive way of agreeing to accept the terms without pursuing it any further. These payout agreements frequently include statements by the defendant denying wrongdoing. So they're usually denying the wrongdoing. They just settle in court just to be like, all right, forget it. Let me get y'all out my hair. Companies tend to settle class actions to avoid the cost of further litigation. Pretty much what I just said. Pollution, discrimination, or false advertising are a few examples of what can land a class action on a company's doorstep. Now, I told you that it's not just them who have settled. AT&T is paying out $177 million to its customers following two alleged data breaches. Again, for those of you who use AT&T like I do and many others, data breaches, again, as it relates to data. Data is a big thing right now, especially with AI. Data is crazy. So it's a lot of data breaches that are happening. It used to be monthly or yearly, then monthly, then weekly. Now it's daily and damn near hourly. So that's just something to make note of. These incidents date back to March 2024 and July 2024. In March, data belonging to customers was allegedly leaked on the dark web. Months later, data was allegedly illegally uploaded on a third-party platform. Americans who think they might be eligible for payment have until December the 18th to apply for compensation. But the opt-out and objection deadline is November the 17th. So that's just to let you know that, it's a lot of different entities that have had to settle based on data. Again, the U.S. Sun reported how Facebook users could be in line for a payment worth up to $237 as a part of another data breach settlement. And Amazon users are set to receive a check as a part of a $2.5 million settlement. So it goes on and on. But just understand that these entities do things that position them to be carrying out unlawful behavior that is a violation of your rights, but you can use that information to clean up your credit report. So what do you do from here? How do you leverage this information in a way that best benefits you? Well, the main thing is to understand that the data breach exists, which means that if a data breach exists or some information was leaked out, that some fraud took place, and it's a higher chance of you having some unlawful behavior that led to inaccuracies, errors on your report, or things that can even qualify you for compensation in the form of a lawsuit, or even FCRA violations taking place on your credit report that can qualify you for up to $2,500. So it's a lot of different avenues. So depending on your goal will determine your next action step. If you just want to build your credit, which is an amazing thing, then what you want to do is understand how to properly dispute, how to properly have the right verbiage in your letters, how to make sure you continue to apply pressure and not let up just because they claimed everything had been properly investigated, or, certain things may have came back verified. Continue to apply pressure because they expect people to tap out and give up. And that's what I like to tell many of my clients. Listen, you got to give yourself, think in terms of 6 months. Could take longer, could take shorter, but don't give up after 1 month. Don't give up after 2-3 months. You got to make sure that you keep applying pressure. And this is not to say that you should only base it on slow results, because some things can happen fast. There's certain things that, based on certain data breaches, you may be able to get things removed in a matter of days, but certain things are changing based on the new information that presents itself. So right now with the government shutdown, there's certain things and certain entities that people will use that were government based that now they no longer have access to. So you got to have multiple ways that you go about disputing and cleaning and building up your credit report. So that way you're not limited to just using identitytheft.gov if you notice some fraud or some type of data breach on your report. You're not limited to just going through a CFPB complaint and filing based on those things. You also understand the proper way to go about disputing, so you can do it in a way that best benefits you as it relates to your credit restoration journey. If you need access to my community where I give you access to all kind of tools for pennies. People say I should have been charging way more for this, but hey, you can get access to it by clicking the link below if that's something you want to do. See you on the next video. Salute.